back to the Microgreen Thumbcasts. I'm your host, Mike, and today we've got a really insightful episode lined up for you. We're diving deep into the art of crafting a compelling brand story for your microgreen business. We'll be going over defining your brand story. What is your origin story? Mission, values, unique perspective, and then creating an emotional connection with customer-centric approach to benefit your customers. Community engagement, visual aesthetic elements, logo and visual identity, color palette design, consistency across channels, online presence, in-person interaction, narrating your story, storytelling techniques, customer stories, and then elevating your growth, showing progress and future vision, and then transparency and authenticity, honesty, knowledge, mistakes, acknowledging mistakes. All right, so let me bring in our co-host today. This is the guy that foot in the ground growing room and 1 foot in coding the lab, and he's been cooking up some software that's got the microgreen community buzzed. Andy, how's it going today?
It's going well. I was working on that right up until this started, so
See?
that's become my life.
And then we're not stopping there today. As you can see today, we've got a special guest host who knows his array around growing a tray, especially a tray that's filled with cocoa core. Give it up for Joe at NS Microgreens. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I do better, Mike, if I could get my name right. N-Bar S Microgreens. We'll get there one day.
N-Bar, NS, NS sounds better. I don't know. All right, N-Bar S Microgreens, and you guys can check out his YouTube channel as well, where he dives deep into cocoa core and how to use it. Lighting the videos that he has on there are amazing. Really explains it, gets technical of how lightings work, so definitely check that out for sure. All right, so today we're talking about farming microgreens. We're diving deep into the art of storytelling, your microgreen brand, and trust me, with Andy and Joe here, this is going to be a masterclass you don't want to miss. So, defining your brand story. This is big. You've got to have a brand story. What is your origin story? Sharing your personal journey into the world of microgreens, and what sparks your interest. Andy, any aha moments that led you to start your own business?
So when we started, we didn't have a name, and we actually sat down and came up with probably about 15 different names, and we basically posted it out on Facebook and said, hey, if you had to go to a store and you were buying, vegetables or whatever, and they were right next to each other and they were identical looking, and it just one name versus another name, which one would you pick? And that's actually what narrowed us down to Fresh Source Farms. Ultimately, is our actual friends voting on the name that they thought they would choose, just based on just the name itself, if products were exactly the same. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that's kind of how we got started with our name. So it worked out good. Not necessarily a ha-ha thing, but a lot story that a lot of people definitely don't know.
Awesome. Joe, what sparked your interest into the microgreens and what got you growing?
I mean, really, for me, it's all about local production of food, contributing to the food systems, trying to bring back the food systems to our communities. And from there, I don't know if there's an aha moment or it's just the Google robots got a hold of me and started pushing ads. Because before I knew it, I was down every rabbit hole that the microgreens world could have. And then eventually, like signing up with Nate Dodson on his microgreens farmer course to kind of just start that. And then probably more than anything, tuning into Itty Bitty Microfarms question and answers spring, summer 2022 was really what kind of propelled me forward as a business.
Awesome. Yeah, we used to do lives. I think I don't remember what days it was, but we did a whole bunch of Q&A sessions on there. You guys can go watch back. And Joe was one of our main people that were always there, listening, taking all the values in, and everything else. Similar to what we're doing here, we just have more people here that have grown their business. Like Andy's here every week, and then having special guests on here as well really adds the value to this program. So we appreciate the extra help here for sure. All right, let's talk about missions and values. So laying down the law, what is your mission? What is your values? Diving into your business, what is the values of your business? How do you align with your customers, and what are they looking for? Andy, you got anything on that?
Yes, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but I think, customer service and quality are definitely our big top values that we try and strive for. We try to make sure everybody feels really good working with us. I mean, it shows all of our 5-star reviews that we have across the board, which is huge for us. I mean, we want to make sure we maintain that. And just quality as a whole. I mean, anytime there's an issue, we get it taken care of. It's rare that there is, but obviously you're still ultimately farming. So you're going to have problems here and there for sure. We always make sure they get taken care of right away and as quick as possible and as easy as possible for the customer. So, that's definitely a big piece for us for our just general values. And I mean, I have people contact me directly all the time, because, and I give them my cell phone number and say, hey, do you have any issues? You reach out to me directly. I don't want you talking to one of my employees. I want you talking to me. I'm the decision maker. I'm the one that's going to put things into motion. So that's definitely a big piece for us as far as like what we strive towards for our customers, our products.
Joe, how about you?
I mean, and one thing that I would just say that I feel like so many microgreens businesses don't do their due diligence on, and this really comes out in your missions and values, is making your business plan. You got to articulate your values, and it comes back. Everything's going to be driven by those values, whether it's your mission, your vision, how you're marketing, how you're talking, the storytelling. Everything's going to come back out of that. And I live here in central Montana. Huge access to outdoor. I can walk 5 blocks out my back door and be on 72 miles of single track trail. Just people are biking everywhere, hiking everywhere. Super health conscious, but definitely you got to be in tune with your community and your target audiences. And for me, it's that environmentally conscious folks. And so that's for me one of my driving values. That's a little bit different from a lot of microgreens where that may not be what's driving a lot of your business decisions, but for me, that sustainability story is very important. And it's going to come out with, trying to work towards my organic certification, recycling all my spent trays into vermicompost or with chicken farmers, minimizing my impact as much as possible environmentally. I use that part as part of my story where I'm talking about reducing CO2 emissions for transportation of local produce to you, to my customers. So it's definitely that's one of my driving values, is that environmental stewardship aspect. And that comes out in my mission statement, and definitely in my interactions with folks.
Awesome.
In addition to product quality and customer service and everything else, but that's, I think one of the things that differentiates me from maybe other national microgreens groups, even though there may be some undertones of that environmental stewardship, for me, it's definitely front and center.
Awesome. And when he's talking business plan, he's not necessarily talking like a full out business plan. This is just what is your plan for your business? Because a full out written out business plan is for the bank if you're going to go get funding, all that stuff. But a business plan, you still need a plan of what your business is and what it's going to be.
I think it's both. I do think while you don't have to have one that is for the bank, for a bank loan or to get a grant or something like that, I do think work with your small business development centers that are nationally all around. They're, I believe, run by the the Department of Commerce. And so they're in every community nationwide, and they have templates and things that you can do that help you understand and give you writing prompts to say, hey, how do you think about this as a mission or a vision or a values statement for your organization? And I think even if it's not for the bank, just putting it in bullet points is really important to help you think through and really get to what is the meat of your business. So I think it's both ways.
Yeah, but you need a plan for your business. You don't need a business plan necessarily unless you're going to get a loan. You don't need to take the time. A lot of people will be paralysis of analysis and try to write out a full business plan before you even start. So get a plan for your business, what you're going to be, what you're going to grow, and everything else, what your mission is, and then start your business. And then when you need funding or anything else, then go write a business plan that the bank's going to want. That's my perspective, because I just know a lot of people, once they write a business plan, it's going to take a long time and they won't ever start their business. So let's talk about your unique perspective. What makes your microgreens stand out? You have unique growing methods, sourcing. Why would your customers pick you over the competition? Joe, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, so like I said, I am working towards my organic certification. Everything that I do is built through that lens. I know Josh last week had kind of touched on it, but I do think that most growers' intentions with organic is in the right place. And even if people are treating with like bacteriogenesis, BT to help control stuff, like I'm okay with that as long as it's not synthetics. And I do think that's a big thing that helps me stand out from the crowd, and especially when hopefully I'm going to be able to put that seal on my product here before too long. I think one of the other things that really helps me stick out too is just core, as you guys mentioned. I'm a big firm believer in core, and then because it just allows you to do a lot of things that customize it to what you want. And then the fertilizers, it comes out of the fertilizers too. That the AgroThrive, I find, actually gives brassicas crunch. Like I hadn't had a crunchy brassica microgreen before I started using it. I don't know what it is about their formulation, but I found that to be really impressive for me. And then I think the last one is my live harvest at farmers markets. I think is a unique thing that I do. So I did have to talk extensively with my health department to just be like, hey, I'm on the up and up. I'm just changing the location of my harvest from my grow facility to the farmer's market. Like I'm not processing, I'm not doing any of that. But it just like the live harvest itself generates such a buzz around your booth. Like people are like, there's activity, there's movement, there's like people get in line, and I'm handing out samples as I'm cutting and everything. And it's just I've had some huge days selling 38, 40 trays, just me solo, both cutting and handling cash in 4-hour time span. So like to me, it's one of those, and I tell people, you will not find a fresher product at the farmer's market because I literally just harvested for you. People really appreciate that.
Yeah, if you can do live harvesting and you can do it by yourself, even, that's impressive, man. That's highly impressive, because changing and doing all the money and doing all that stuff, I would recommend 2 people if you can. And if you can't afford it.
I hope to have my 7-year-old money handler next year. So that's
there
the goal.
There you go. Because you definitely could probably do more, even, if you had somebody handling money, you didn't have to change tasks in between and all that. So
changing gloves and everything.
Changing gloves nonstop sucks.
Yeah.
And I mean, then you just start thinking about your process too. You ask multiple people, okay, can I harvest for you and you and you, and then I will take all the money at once, rather than try to just batch people together. And people are very understanding, and more often than not, everyone's like, we are so thankful you're wearing gloves doing this. Like they don't mind the extra money to change gloves. So.
Definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you could do that. That's definitely unique, and not a lot of people definitely do that. So, Andy, what do you got?
Well, and I'll jump back to 2020 when we started too. I mean, we did live harvesting out of our front yard, and that's pretty much how we got started. And it was a huge draw. I mean, considering where we were, I mean, literally we had to convince people to come to our house. But once they got there, they just thought it was the coolest thing. And oftentimes, I don't know if you see this too, Joe, but they'll take pictures or video or whatever while you're actually harvesting. They just think that's the coolest thing. They're literally getting super, super fresh. So it's definitely a nice way to start. And if you can do it, absolutely. Joe has by far the best way of getting greens from one place to another in live trays that I've seen to date, using the little bread carts that he has. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, you're trying to find a better way, definitely reach out to Joe. He posts pictures of it all the time on his on Facebook, all over the place, all the different groups. So definitely check that out. But yeah, I mean, for us, it's we started out that way, which worked out great. It kind of got our name out there, which was awesome. And then over time, we just switched over to just adding more varieties, basically. So now I think we're up to 25-ish at this point. But it's also, we try and grow as organic as we can. Unfortunately, there's not a good organic soil out there yet, but we still use organic seed whenever we can get it. I'm not really super concerned with becoming certified. I would like to at some point, but until there's a great soil out there to use, other than Cocoa Core, then I'm gonna stick. I got to find something. And unfortunately, there's only one good option that we know of, and you have to buy it by the truckload. So it's not exactly ideal at this point. But yeah, for us, it's just our quality, our level of different products that we offer, and all the different places that we cover. I mean, a lot of people, they target one place. They're all restaurants or mostly grocery stores or whatever. We're kind of all over everywhere. So it allows us to reach everybody in our community. We can go directly to somebody's house all the way up to a food distributor. So it's kind of neat to be able to do that. It gives us a nice diverse portfolio. It's probably not the ideal way to do it, but it works good for us. It's kind of emergency proof to a certain extent.
Sure. All right. Guys, remember to like this video if you haven't yet. Helps us out a lot. It's free to do. Just hit that thumbs up and like the video. We'll get it out to more people. Share the video if you think it's value to anybody else out there. We appreciate sharing it. And subscribe to the channel so you can chat during the lives. That also helps us as well and helps you to be able to do the Q&As at the end. So go ahead and ask your questions in there now. And if you want to, or we'll have a giveaway at the end of this, go ahead and put in hashtag Thumbcast, and we will be doing a giveaway at the end of this. Will help as well. We do appreciate it, and we would love to give something away to you today. So definitely do that. And continue to put out more videos and everything like that, and we'll get into the rest. So creating an emotional connection. This is huge. If you can create an emotional connection with your customers, it will be huge. So customer-centric approach. Some heartwarming stories, if you guys got any of them. Have you gone above and beyond to meet any of their needs, anything like that? Andy?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about it in previous podcast episodes before where, I mean, our chefs absolutely love us. I mean, they love working with us. And I've had so many of them approach me and say, yeah, we had another microgreen grower come in the other day and we just kind of laughed them out of the building because, I mean, there's no point. They're not going to switch. They love what we do. Our pricing, I don't even know even if they came in cheaper, they'd probably still stick with us just because of what we do and how we treat them. So, and to get that one email from a chef that I've been working with for 3 years, just randomly out of nowhere a couple weeks ago and just saying, I absolutely love all your stuff. I just wanted to say that, I was thinking about it, and it's cool to get stuff like that because then you realize you're doing a good job, and obviously they're very, very pleased with what they're getting from us, both customer service wise and product quality wise, which is enormous. But, beyond that, I mean, they know that I'm a programmer. They know that I've got software in the background handling everything, which makes them feel a lot more comfortable, the fact that they know it's very, very, very unlikely that we're going to miss an order unless it's something we did stupid on our part. And even then we usually find a way to make it happen. So, but it's just building that confidence. Ultimately that's what you want is your customers to feel confident in your abilities. And if you start losing that confidence for whatever reason, then you need to find a way to make it back up. Even if you make one mistake, I mean, you could be with the same chef for 3 years and all of a sudden you completely forget their order or you send them a crappy product. You're immediately going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. So you got to repair that and fix it immediately. Whether that's refunding the product, whether that's giving them new stuff, or whatever you got to do to make them happy again. Keep that process moving forward because that's key to have them in your back pocket and be happy with what you're doing.
Definitely. Joe?
Yeah, so I had a sous chef who went to open be a kitchen manager at another facility. They took me with them. I think that speaks highly of our product. I had another restaurant owner and chef who asked me, hey, would I be interested or able to use or grow edible flowers? And I was like, I'll try. And, that's now probably 40% of my business. So definitely, I was like, I have a background in outdoor gardening and vegetable production, so I don't mind. Like I know how to get stuff to flower. So just a little bit of a difference to tweak that for indoors. And so definitely that was a big one. And like I said, now that's opened up doors all over my city. I'm in 3 different bars with edible flowers that use them for cocktails. So like places I would not have thought of approaching with microgreens per se. Some of them are using microgreens too for things like Bloody Marys. They use like pea shoots. Or radish greens. But for the most part, like that was a big one. And I've had customers too, right in front of me one day. I have one customer who buys a tray of speckled pea from me every week. And like in front of everyone else, she just has me harvest the whole dang thing. And then like she was standing there and one of her friends came up and she literally turned to her and said, oh, this is what I do with my tray of speckled pea every week. I saute it with my scrambled eggs like every morning, yada, yada. And then her friend was like, okay, I'll take a tray. So now I have to be growing 2 extra trays of speckled peas every week just for those 2 ladies, which is amazing. But like that's the thing where it's just like I didn't even have to sell that second tray that is now selling itself because like a friend is referring back to another person. I know you have another segment a little bit later on, customer stories, but I think that's like the emotional connection at the farmers market where people just really are drawn to microgreens, especially live microgreens. If you have trays of live microgreens, they love seeing that.
Yes, that's awesome. For sure. Definitely. Remember, guys, if you are over on any of the Facebook groups, if you're on Joe's or Andy's Facebook groups, if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and that will allow Facebook to send the names over to StreamYard. Otherwise, we're just going to see you as Facebook user, and you will not be able to get in the giveaways. So make sure that you do that so you can be entered to do the giveaways. All right. And one other note, as you can see above my head, and our heads as our harvest members. So I want to recognize them. All the names will be scrolling up here at the top for you. And any other members will periodically be scrolling down at the bottom when Jess puts them in there for you guys. But you can definitely join our membership for as low as $2.99. Harvest members are $9.99, and they get their names up here and some special other benefits as well. So check that out. So let's get into benefits to customers. What is in it for them? Health benefits? Is it convenience? Is it taste? Everybody in different segments are going to have different things. So Andy, do you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously push the nutritional value a lot. All that stuff is on our website. Out front of in our store, we've got a little big Amazon device that kind of rotates through infographics all day long, with all that information. But beyond that, it's just making it. Our big thing is we always say we make vegetables convenient. Literally on our sign out front, that's exactly what it says.
Right.
So, and I always tell people, I'm like, you don't have to cook any of this. You literally just pull it out, pluck a little bit off, drop it on whatever you're eating. Doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to cook anything. You don't have to cut anything up. It's super simple. So we make vegetables convenient is definitely our biggest tagline, if you want to call it that. It's not like an official tagline in any way, shape, or form, but that's definitely what we try and preach. Is that you can easily work nutrition into anything you're eating. That's really the benefit, and that you don't have to change your diet. All you do is just take what you're already eating and add these to them. And it gives you just that boost of nutritional value. And I love it when people come and they're like, after they started doing that, they're like, oh, I don't find I eat as much, every single day. And I'm like, yeah, I wonder why.
Getting that nutrition actually in your body.
Yeah, because your body's actually getting what it needs. Yeah. So yeah, if you sit there and eat potato chips all day, you're going to be hungry all day long. Because it's not going to give you anything. So, we try and really preach that. But the convenience piece is definitely a big part of it for sure, beyond the nutrition.
Joe, what do you do push for benefits for your customers?
I think for me, in particular for my live harvest or my at the farmer's market, I might talk to 1 in 10 people about nutrition. If I can get the thing in their mouth, like they're buying it.
Yeah.
Like they're going to taste it and they love it. I have my spicy mix, a custom blend that I do. Because I just didn't find the spicy blends that were available out there spicy enough. And so I went and made my own. And they just go gaga for it. I sell 3 to 1 of those to broccoli and to my salad mix and everything else. Like it just blows me out of the water, like how much I'll sell 16 of trays of that at one 4-hour farmer's market. So it's one of those where it's like, if I can get people to eat it, I guess if you're going back to the culinary delight, that's definitely it. Then also just providing textures when it comes to chefs. I think textures are huge. Pea tendrils, that's like one of my number 1 sellers to chefs. Like that artistic value of the curly peas, they love that. Or color, it's funny, chefs you'd think would be the ones who'd be all about flavor, but they want the color and they want the texture because they know people eat with your eyes first. So that's, a couple of little tips that I have there on that one.
Definitely. Everybody's going to be different. Chefs are going to be different than what, health conscious people are going to be looking for, everything else. Joe, I have one quick question for you on your sampling when you're doing it live harvest. How do you do that? Do you just cut it off and hand it to them? Are you putting it on anything? Or
exactly. So again, I had a very extensive conversation with my county sanitarian to be like, what do I need to do this? Since I am out here and I've just told you I am not providing food to people. I am still in the raw agricultural commodity realm, and she was like, well, what we require for everybody is a canopy so birds can't crap in your stuff. We require a hand washing station. I'm like, great, I can do that. And she's like, for you, I require a knife sanitizing station. I'm like, awesome. So I just need a bucket with a little bit of bleach, a coffee urn to have warm water in for soapy water, and a bucket to catch it. And if you ever check out my Facebook, I got photos up there. You can see like behind my booth, my setup. It's pretty simple. I don't really try to go over the board with it. And for people who are interested, I use the coffee urn specifically because it has a lever you can flip and it'll stay on. A lot of people use like an igloo cooler, but you have to like depress the button the whole time. And I'm like, that doesn't work with actually trying to wash your hands. So that's my tip there is like find something with a lever if that's what your county sanitarian is telling you in order to do samples. But yeah, literally I just like slice a little chunk with my knife and just hand it. I ask them to hold their hand out. So I'm not making contact with my gloved hand with their hand. I just drop it into their hand.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what we did as well. It worked out really well. And it was funny because with one of the first markets we went to, my wife, who's literally dealt with the FDA her entire career, one of the local food safety people came over and thought they knew what they were talking about and tried to get my wife to stop handing out samples. And she's like, "Oh, no. She's like, "Hang on, let me pull up the FDA regulation." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So it was really funny. I just thought that was a hilarious story. So just because the government tells you something, don't always assume that they're correct. Let them show you where it is in writing. Just keep that in mind, because they will try and come down on you about, and it's just because they don't understand what you're doing. I mean, it's not that they don't know, like if you're dealing with regular vegetables, they have no clue 9 times out of 10 what microgreens are, what the regulations are around them. So sometimes you have to do a little education on your side, which we've had to do a lot of, unfortunately. Dealing with the inspection we had here earlier this year, and just dealing with people at the farmers market and health department in general. Sometimes you have to teach them things. So don't be afraid to, push back a little bit if you feel like you are able to legally. So, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just tangentially there too. I know this is a little bit off topic of branding, but I was a government employee for the state of Montana for the 8 years prior to coming to this job. Know the rules, right? Get into the regulations. Understand what is the FDA or the USDA requiring of you. Especially if you're looking at the organic, you best know that 7 CFR 2500 really well. Because that's the standard you're going to be held to. But then there's going to be also, it's important to know who to ask the right question of, because if you ask a bureaucrat and it's the wrong bureaucratic question and they give you an answer, please know that you will have to comply with that, and you may have to get a lawyer involved to get out from underneath whatever they're telling you and whatever authority they think they have. Ask for the source. What is the regulation you're basing the information you're telling me on? Because if they can't provide you the source that gives them the authority, they have no authority.
Yep. Exactly.
Sorry, off my high horse now.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh no, you're totally, yeah. It's pretty much you're backing up exactly what I said in a much better way.
For sure.
Yeah, it is, because you will definitely at some point in your career you'll come across a government agent of some kind that will come along and try and tell you can't do something, or they'll label you incorrectly, like we had when we had our inspection. They put on the thing, it said, does this place grow sprouts? Yep. And I was like, oh no, I don't. Because if that had made it all the way to the FDA, guess what would have happened to me? So I made sure they corrected that before they sent it along. And something as simple as one little checkbox could have completely screwed us over. We would have been under a total microscope at that point. So yeah, just be very wary of how you deal with them, and make sure that they're doing the things in the right way according to the actual laws in place. So yeah, don't be afraid to question things.
For sure. Yeah, just because they're a government official don't mean they know what they're doing. So I definitely do that. All right, so let's talk about community engagement. Any local causes in your community, the events that you've been involved in. How does that resonate with your brand? You want to keep it on brand with your customers. Joe, do you got any of that?
Yeah, there's a couple that I've done that I really have enjoyed. The first one is I did a school presentation last year. So in Montana, nationally, it was actually a crunch day. And so I went in and did I was only supposed to do 1 or 2 classes until it turned into 2 assemblies for the entire school. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm standing up in front of an assembly for the school with trays of peas. I got bags of peas for the teachers to hand the kids. I have dried peas. I have bagged soil, for them to play with and touch and kind of see, engaging them and asking them, hey, how do you grow food? And everyone thinks it's on a farm or it's like outdoors or wherever. And like trying to get them to think like, well, what are the basic things that a plant actually needs to grow? So that was a really fun one. From there, I kind of engaged with some farm to school stuff, just on a larger scale across the state, did some trainings with them. Then they came back and asked me to do samples at one of their conferences. And I'm like, sure, I'll come put some live trays out there and harvest and just talk to people about microgreens. No problem. And then probably my favorite one, was around for about a year. And then I was like, oh, maybe this seems like a good idea to really help push my brand, because this, when I was deciding that I wanted to go full time into this, was our local community center had a Chopped style, if you've seen the food show Chopped event, with 3 local chefs, which I was already in working with 2 of those chefs were on there. And I told the community organization, hey, I'm going to give you all this stuff for free. I'm going to give you, can you incorporate my stuff into the mystery box? And they did that for one of the mystery boxes. They also had garnish boxes with my microgreens and flowers. And I got a ton of content on my Facebook just from that, like just taking pictures of what these chefs were making in this competition. So that's was a really awesome one for me. And it was even better when one of the final round with the dessert, and this guy had this like massive just awesome chocolate tower of stuff, and had one of them had cream puffs and had put sorrel leaves on the cream puff. And one of the judges said, whatever that is, the counterbalance of the sour and bitter from the sorrel leaf to the sweetness of the cream puff just sold it for them. And then the judge said, where do you even find something like this? And both chefs and their crews that were in the audience too all yelled NBARS microgreens. So like that's the thing, is like embrace those community functions as much as you can, because like it's going to get you out there quick.
Yes, Andy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we've spoke at numerous schools, numerous libraries, numerous farm related events at our local, thing that they have, the county fair every single year. We're there. We always talk there. But yeah, it's just that's so insanely important. Plus, it helps you get to know other farmers. Oftentimes, we spoke with other farmers, and what you'll really find is that the farming community, they help each other out big time. I mean, even if you're a direct competitor,
Yep.
then they literally, if like one of them gets hurt or one of them is sick, they're, somebody else who's directly competing with them will go help them, farm their crops or whatever. I mean, it's an awesome community to be a part of. Get involved with like your local 4-H as much as you can. Just try and talk to the kids. And really the goal, and I'm sure Joe, you probably do the same, is really just to try and make young people understand that you don't have to own hundreds of acres to be a farmer. You don't have to own tractors or animals or whatever to be a farmer. You can literally grow in a closet in your bedroom and you're technically farming, and that's what's really cool, because a lot of kids, they aren't, coming up as a next generation farmer. So they don't have the opportunity to just pick up where their parents or grandparents or whoever left off. They're starting with nothing, and they enjoy growing food, and they like the aspect of growing healthy stuff and providing it to the community, but they don't have the space to do it. So that's honestly what pushed us to do microgreens, because I mean, we have about an acre of land where we are in Maryland, but and there's just too many awesome farms already here that it wasn't really worth trying to go that route, even though we could have grown a bit of food, but we just wanted to do something different and kind of fill a void that was here in our area. So it's worked out really well. But yeah, the more you can get involved in the community, I mean, people recognize you when you're out, and it's a confidence thing when they see you around town and they know, wow, this guy's right here. It's kind of a neat way to do things. So yeah, get those opportunities when you can.
Yeah, remember that farming, everybody eats. So we literally cannot grow enough food locally to feed everybody that you have in your local environment. There can be plenty of farmers in your local area that that can help out. You literally cannot grow enough food. Nobody has that much land to feed everybody in your local area. As you can go to the grocery store and see, they get a lot of stuff from California and Mexico and wherever. It's because they can't get enough stuff locally. So don't be scared of another farmer coming in, even if it's microgreens or whatever it is. You're fine. There's plenty of business out there. So Just wanted to hit that point real fast. All right, let's talk about visual and aesthetics elements. Logo is huge. Visual identity. Let's break down your logo, your visual elements, anything like you got unique in there. Symbolisms behind them. Why did you do it that way? And Joe, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm trying to move over here where my camera is not behind my name here, so y'all can see my logo on my T-shirt. Trying to rock that as much as possible. And it really comes back to like, maybe this will help Mike remember my name, my business name, NBARS Microgreens. So that stems from my last name and Sessions, right? I'm really embracing the Western culture and the Western mythos in my branding in particular. So NBARS is how you would pronounce N-S as a cattle brand. And so that's where the NBARS comes from. Keep on going, and I got the Miles City Bucking Horse Cowboy riding a microgreen on it. I didn't want that Wyoming cowboy because this is Montana, y'all. If you put the wrong cowboy on your stuff, you'll get laughed out of town. I am from Montana. but I know this stuff. So you really got to play the game right with your local community. Then down here on the sides, I have the Guardian of the Gulch Fire Tower, which is a symbol of our city. I
Awesome.
did my logo specifically as what you would see a ranch sign hanging over any ranch in Montana would be. There's often cattle, mountains, elk, symbols of your city, symbols of your community that are on those ranch signs. And so I really wanted to embrace that part of being in Montana, a Montanan, through my branding, and comes out in the logo. Had a friend who's a graphic designer in England. I'm like, hey, can I like Venmo you $200 to do this? He's like, sure. He's like, what do you want? And so we went back and forth a couple times, but he got me a great logo, and I got a couple variants of it too. So may change over time, but for the most part, people recognize it and they love it.
Awesome. Andy,
Nice.
what do you do?
Yeah, so my daughter, who works for me full time, she actually has a background in graphics design, even beyond what I'm capable of. She can actually draw like from scratch, where I can't. So I told her once we figured out what the name was, I told her, hey, I just need some kind of little icon thing, to go on top of some text, and so she created the little flower thing that's at the top there, and that's what we ended up starting with. And I also didn't want to be like narrowed down to just microgreens in case that we decided to go, different routes or whatever. So I didn't want to have like the traditional little, two heart-shaped cotyledon leaf, in my design. So, from there, it was just picking colors that I love. I mean, my favorite color has always been green my whole life, and I always loved this like burnt orangey color. So we just kind of took that and ran with it, and that's why the back behind me is green and the wall in front of me is orange. So
Awesome.
we just, kind of took our branding to a whole thing. But yeah, I really love the design that she came up with, so we just ran with it.
Nice. Although I don't have green on today like the other guys, my favorite color is also green, but it's in the logo and stuff. So, definitely up the alley growing microgreens, which are mostly green. So, we're in the right business for our favorite colors. So
Yep.
awesome. All right, let's talk about color palette. Your brand colors, in there, like why did you choose the colors? Like Joe went in deep on this, why he chose his colors, why he chose his brand, everything like that, why emotional connection it is to his local area. And you definitely he can hit hard on that local area just in your logo. People know where he's from just based on his logo. So that's awesome. So that's what he was aiming for to do in his logo. Andy was aiming for doing something that did color palettes and everything else. You got anything else to expand on that, Andy?
No, I mean, it was really just I liked the name Fresh Source just because it's like we're the source of freshness, basically. It's what our thought process was. But yeah, I mean, the colors, it's just two colors I've always loved together. And so it worked out really well. And I mean, this is one of our handouts that we give out. I mean, the colors pop like crazy. So, it's just a really easy way to kind of get good information really quickly on a nice, colorful thing. So, and as you know, I mean, in this industry, especially if you're in retail, trying to make it in retail, definitely the color hugely makes a difference. You got those colors popping out of there. That's why Mike, all his, different labels all have different colors on them and stuff. Ours, we haven't gotten that far yet, but we still have that orange and green on there that just jumps off the white background. So it's definitely a nice plus to have a good color combo.
Awesome. Yep, definitely. And again, guys, if you haven't liked the video yet, make sure you like the video. We really appreciate that. And if you've got any questions you want for any of us tonight, we will be doing a Q&A for the live audience at the end here. So get your questions in. If you really want to make your question stand out to get answered, make sure you just put a Q in front of it, that we know it's a question. You guys it's not chatting in there. So definitely do that. It will help just identify the questions. And let's get into packaging design. If you got the right unique package, let's hear about it. How did you guys do that? Why'd you side your package? How does it fit into your brand story? Does it consistently with that? Joe?
Yeah, so my package design, this is one of my favorite stories. And my mom's in here now. Ask them where I got the shirt. So one thing I will say, going back to the color palette piece, my grandmother's maiden name was Kelly, and was very proud of her Irish heritage. And Kelly Green has just always kind of lived with me and my family, and so that's a big piece. And the shirt itself did come from my mom, who bought them for my whole family. When I first opened, I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna wear this thing. No, I wear it every weekend at the farmer's market. I wear it every Tuesday when I'm doing restaurant deliveries. Like I'm wearing it all the dang time. So it's one of the best Christmas presents I ever had. So thanks for that, Mom. I would say on the package design, my logo design. My first sales were to grocery stores. My first 2 farmers markets were closed. I was on these question and answers with Mike and Jess, and I'm like scrambling, and I have a shelf full of product to sell, and I have a shelf full of stuff in germination ready to go. And I'm like, I got to move this. And so I'm scrambling, and I'm like watching all the stuff from Mike and Jess on selling to grocery stores and how to set up your labels and things like that. And I actually jump on their Instagram and screenshot Mike's display in a grocery shelf, and they're like zooming in to the label to be like, what is that label? I like, if nothing else, I'm gonna just be like, imitation is the best form of flattery here. Portions of it as much as I could, and then just figured out with like the label designer software that I was using, like how to kind of arrange the elements on it. Colors too. I use colors on my labels, and I associate my colors. Pick this up from Mike and Jess. Associate my colors with my different products too. And I also use very Montana specific names for my products. I just don't say sunflower microgreens. I have going to the sunflower, because if you're in Montana, you know the Going to the Sun Road in Glacier National Park. Smoke Jumper is the name of my spicy mix, because we love our smoke jumpers, which are our wildland firefighters. And the border around my smoke jumper is that burnt yellow color of a smoke jumper's uniform that they wear out into the field. So I definitely try to like bring all those elements together on my packaging as it's sitting on a grocery shelf.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that we can help you out from afar and take that off that Instagram post and do that. We have since changed our labels, but so you got to keep on changing to keep people who are not the same as yours. So, but definitely, if you guys want to steal our stuff, be for it. If it helps you out, that's what we're here for. We want to make the microgreen community better and better as we go along. That's why we do this podcast. That's why me and Andy started this, to help people out and do this. So definitely want that. Andy, what do you got on this?
I don't even remember what the question was. Packaging design. Yeah, so I mean, we've been using the same style labels for a while at this point, and really like the packaging for us, we tried to always use tamper resistant stuff that was built into the packaging already, just as like an added feel good for the most part. So we, again, the quality of the product inside, nobody's messed with it prior to you picking it up off the shelf. The downside is the one really awesome packaging we've been using for a long time is nowhere to be found anymore. So we had to switch to some packaging that we're not as excited about, unfortunately. But we still have like a long, tall label, so we can still wrap it around the one side, so it's clear that it hasn't been tampered with. Just not as nice, tamper resistant as what we're used to, unfortunately. So it sucks that we had to get away from that, but it is what it is. Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people probably pausing to see what's on this too throughout the video, so they can turn it into a handout. So that was your chance. If you can pause really quick, you can get all the info off of there.
You could probably find it all on his website too, if you really want to dive in. So
yeah, most likely. Yep.
Yeah, so.
Don't steal my icons, because I hand drew all those.
Don't copy, but don't steal.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
definitely do that.
Just like in high school, don't plagiarize.
Exactly. And I love, Joe, to go back to your names of your products and everything else. I love how that ties into your
that is cool
area. That is awesome naming. So congratulations on that. That's awesome. All right, let's talk about consistency across channels, which Joe is doing this amazingly as he's gone into. He's very consistent across all these channels here through his branding and everything else. So your online presence, how are you maintaining your online consistency brand story online? Are you using websites, social media, anything else you're using for that? Joe?
I'm glad you think that, Mike, because I don't think that at all. So, I have a good label, or logo, so I use it across, all my platforms. But, and then I only have Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube now. My YouTube channel is mostly for fellow growers, not so much for my customers yet. I have intentions of moving that direction. Maybe I'll add a third YouTube channel that's more for my customers. I have a couple different separate audiences. I don't really know. Haven't really got there yet. But yeah, it's just a matter of using the programs and the things that they'll share between them for you. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to copy and paste it and re-upload stuff 20 times. Just use the power of the meta, for now, to the best you can. And maybe it'll drag you down some other rabbit holes like it did me.
Awesome. Andy?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously, we try and push our logo out there as much as we can. I mean, even the group that I run, the logo is right at the top, dead center of the top graphic on purpose, just to really try and drive that brand out there to the general public, and then really into the industry as well. I mean, obviously, people recognize, your logo, Mike, from all the stuff that you've done. Same for us. So we try and be really consistent with that. And all of our marketing materials, we go above and beyond. I mean, even these cards that I've shown 15 times, I mean, they're super thick, very, very nice. So everything that we hand out that has our information or our brand on it is going to look the best it possibly can. And that translates into the labels that we print on a LaserJet printer that are printing directly out of Adobe Illustrator. They are crystal clear, right to the edges. So again, it's just, getting that brand out there. But for the most part for us, I mean, we're a lot more Facebook centric, I think, than anything else. I mean, we have a YouTube page, but I don't really do anything with it, and honestly, don't even bother going and looking for it because there's nothing out there at the moment. But so for the most part, we try and do Facebook. I get on Instagram sometimes. I get on TikTok sometimes, but it's not super often, especially now that we don't have the store to worry about. That was kind of like our main drive to try and get people in the front door. But we slow down a lot on social media just because it's not really like a big focus for us at this point. And we have enough local people already to where it's, I mean, obviously we want to keep at it, but we're not really super, super concerned about making content constantly, even though we should be. We just don't, unfortunately, because I don't have enough time. I'm too busy building farm flow for all you people. So please get in there and use it.
In the beginning, it is definitely important to get your presence
Yeah.
out there in the social media world, in the online world, and everything else to get people interacting with you. We've gotten so many invites to go to places because of our social media presence.
Yeah.
And out there and everything else. So go on radio shows, go on TV networks, all that stuff. So that definitely can help you get exposure. So
yeah,
definitely want to do that if you can, if you got time. Most of us now don't have time, but if you're starting out, you definitely have the time. So
yeah.
All right, let's talk about in-person interaction. How do you keep your team story going in real life? You're at the markets, events, face to face. When you're out talking to somebody, they run into you when you got a shirt on. Just out in public, what are you going to do? How do you handle them customer interactions or potential customer interactions? Andy?
Yeah, I mean, we our Fresh Source Farm shirts, which I hardly ever wear on air, on the back they literally say, "Ask me about microgreens." And it's a easy way to start a conversation right off the bat with somebody when you're out wherever you are. So it's kind of neat how many people have actually asked literally about what we do. So, but I think the biggest thing, and I get people all the time, they're like, they just tell me that your passion is so awesome, and that they can just feel like how much we enjoy what we do. And that's huge. I mean, because if you're standing there talking to somebody and you're miserable and, they're just going to be like, well, I don't want to buy from this guy. He's not even excited about what he does for himself. So that's definitely a big key piece, I think, is just being passionate about what you do, being animated. I know Joe and I are both struggling to keep our hands down. I think Mike is too, because we all like to talk with our hands, so we try not to do that on the podcast when we can help it. But, it's just, again, it's all part of your passion. You're just trying to drive home that, that you're growing this stuff and that you really enjoy your job and that you really enjoy what you do and providing the community with the products that you grow. It's a big piece of it. So try and get passionate about what you're doing if you're not already. And if you're not, try and get better at it. And if you're already passionate, get more passionate.
Awesome. Joe, how do you handle out in-face people?
I mean, as far as like my team members, I am a team of one right now, so I really have to keep myself in line and keep reminding myself how to talk to people about this stuff. But no, really, I think probably one of the biggest things that I've learned just from teaching other people over time about how to represent an organization is a fun activity called a 333 elevator speech exercise.
Yes.
You can Google it and like put in AmeriCorps because it came from the AmeriCorps world. And it's like, how do you pitch your elevator speech, right? So back in the day when you're riding an elevator and you have 3 minutes, 30 seconds, or 3 seconds with someone, how do you pitch what it is that you do? And so it's just an activity that when I get employees in the future, if I'm sending them out and having them represent me beyond my 7-year-old son at the farmer's market, like it'll really be just like, how do you, if you have that amount of time, that limited amount of time, how do you convey who your business is? So that's a good one that I'd really recommend people look into. I can definitely find something out there too, Jess, and throw it up here.
Yep. Definitely. And you can practice that elevator pitch at the farmer's market because you basically have about maybe a couple minutes to get their attention and tell them what they are before they want to walk away. So definitely a great place to practice that elevator pitch.
And you'll get used to reading people too. I mean, I'm sure you see it at the farmers markets as well. It's, you can tell when somebody's coming up and they're generally interested, and you can tell when somebody's coming up and they're like, what is this crap?
You definitely.
Run into it all the time. And the best part is convincing the people that come up and say, what is this crap, to go, wow, you need to come over and try this. Been down that road before. It's fun.
I would say for those who are doing farmers markets, two of my biggest things, kind of pet peeves when I see other vendors, and I think what so much of my success is I attribute it towards, I don't bring a chair. If you're standing up, it sucks to not be talking to people.
Yep.
So you will greet everyone who passes your booth if you are standing up. You look like you're ready to engage people. If you're just kind of hanging out and sitting back, and if your farmers market's not busy enough for you to feel like it's worth it to be standing up the whole time, it may not be worth it to be there.
Exactly.
So think about that. But it's like I'm standing and on my feet the entire time. If I'm not cutting for a customer and chatting with a customer, I'm greeting everyone who walks by. And what I'll say, and I think the next one is storytelling, so I'll just tell the storytelling so you can skip me on that one, Mike. Okay. So like my spiel for the first year, this is for your first year growers. Hey, do you know what microgreens are? Have you used microgreens? No? Hey, come on over and sample. Yes. Have you tried my microgreens? Because yours are different from somebody else's, right? Does not work in year two. But especially when you're the main game in town now, because like everyone's tried my microgreens because I'm where most people are getting them from. But for the most part, that'll help you get have humor, right? That humor gets that foot in the door, and people open up. They're like, oh, sure, I'll eat a small plant and look like a bunny rabbit, like on candid camera. So they're all about it, right? Stay on your feet as much as you can. Engage everyone who walks by.
Yeah, great story there, Joe. Awesome. And I 100% agree. Do not sit down at the market. Yep. Stand up and talk to everybody. That's how we grew our business, through farmers market, talking to everybody and getting them to come in. They may not look like somebody who would like microgreens, but you might turn them into a customer. You don't know who they are. So definitely good points.
Totally agree. You better be standing the whole time. If you're sitting, I'm walking right by your booth. Because that just shows me that you're not interested and you're not passionate about what you're doing.
Think about yourself. What do you do when you're at the farmer's market if you've been? Do you talk to people sitting down and go to them? Probably not.
Yep.
So great story, Joe. And that rolls us right into narrating your storytelling techniques. Sharing your storytelling like Joe just did. Hacks using the marketing. Joe did great on that, on how to market his brand. And how does that stick to your story and your branding? Andy?
Yeah, so I mean, we always tell people about how we got started if they were interested, which a lot of people do ask, believe it or not, which is kind of neat. So we always kind of give them the background of how we actually began this whole journey. And it's, and it's cool to be able to tell them where you started and where you are, and that's what's kind of really neat about it, because everybody started with one tray at some point, or a couple trays at some point. And it's kind of cool to be able to say, yeah, now we've got a 2,000 square foot facility and we're trying to get into a 4,000 square foot. And they're like, no way, and it really helps them realize that, microgreens aren't just like a little fashion trendy thing, that this is legitimately an actual growing industry that's growing significantly fast, especially right now. So it's definitely a great place to be. And to be able to tell that story about that, it just helps them see the confidence in the actual industry as a whole. And that they know, okay, these guys are going to be around for a while. This isn't going to be somebody who's going to be here for a couple of weeks and then they're not going to be here next year, which we've dealt with. I'm sure you guys probably have too, with chefs that had an original microgreen grower that just fell off the face of the earth. Somebody who started couldn't make it handle it, and a couple of weeks later they were gone and didn't communicate that at all. So that confidence building thing goes into it as well, but you're just building confidence in microgreens as a whole, as an industry, and you're educating people, which is important.
Yes. Very much, educate them, consumers, and let them know what's going on with that, for sure. All right. Elevating and growth. How do you elevate and grow? Showing progress. Has your business evolved? I know all of our businesses evolved where we're at. I was actually talking to a customer at the farmer's market this week and talking to about where our business is at and where we're going and everything else, because we talk all the time. Which helps also if you just talk to people and like they're a human being and have a conversation with them at the market as well. And she's like, man, your business is really growing. I'm like, man, it's kind of a slow growth. And she goes, you've been doing this for like 2 to 3 years. Like where you're at is amazing. And it kind of puts it in perspective for yourself too. Like, yeah, we have gone pretty fast and everything else. So sharing that with people and letting them know where you're at and what you're doing is huge. Sharing milestones with them, and it adapts over time as well. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, every farm is different. How everyone wants to approach growth and scaling and how they expand their revenue streams is different. It's for me personally, I've chosen rather than scaling just microgreens to scale other areas and venues. So as I mentioned before, with edible flowers is a significant portion right now. I hope to next spring have vermicompost for sale at both the farmers market alongside my plant starts that I do and in local nurseries. So because I take all of my trays that I can and I throw them to my European night crawlers and they just munch through them and then I have worm crap, right? So that's like a very viable way. And again, that talks to my sustainability, environmental stewardship value, going back to that very first comment I made on this podcast today. But that's just a future thing that I'm slowly working towards. And then I just launched in the last 2 weeks that I'm moving into gourmet mushrooms too. My restaurants are clamoring for it. When I talk to customers at the farmers market, they're clamoring for it. We have gourmet mushrooms in local, cities 2 hours away, but they're inundated just providing their own markets, and there's no one here in Helena providing them. So that's a big one for me. That's like a no-brainer to like say I'm going to go run after that thing. As much as it's being painful to run after to learn a whole new kingdom. It's not a plant. It's not an animal. It's just they're weird. Those of you who do mushrooms, you know what I'm talking about. It's a completely different animal, but it's been a fun journey to understand and learn how to scale that sucker up. And I landed a CSA customer. So this fall, I'm launching a CSA for 8 weeks. People sign up for 8 weeks. I have a central delivery location. Just yesterday, I had people that were like, well, the microgreens are good, but I want your mushrooms. And I say, well, if you want mushrooms, they're only going sold a la carte to the people on my CSA. And they said, sign me up for your CSA.
Nice. Awesome. Andy, what have you done?
Awesome. Yeah, so and one of the things I always love is the Throwback Thursday thing that we do on in my group. It's always great to see and it reminds everybody where you started. I mean, I love digging back through it. I'm literally scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on my phone to find a picture from back in 2020 when we first got started. I have a bazillion pictures on my phone. So, but I always love posting in there and seeing all the reactions that everybody has because it just helps you see where you started, remembering where you came from, and it's important to remember that because it's really easy to get bogged down in all the work you have to do and just go, oh my gosh, I feel like we're not getting anywhere, or we're not growing as fast as we should be. You're growing so much faster than you realize. That's what's crazy. If you let this take hold, it will take hold, and it will rule your life if you allow it to. So, don't be afraid to go along the ride and just kind of hang on for dear life as it grows. So. That's definitely what we've done in the last year and a half specifically. We've grown 6 times in size since April of last year. We opened the shop, so which is insane. But it's because we finally had the room, and I can't wait to get in a place that's twice as big as this. We'll be able to get, I think, 168 grow racks in there over time. So plenty of space, and that's assuming we don't get into flowers or mushrooms or lettuce mixes or whatever. If we decide to go that route, we'll have the space to do it, which is awesome. So that's what's neat about this industry is you don't have to just be doing one thing. You can do so many different things. I mean, even the farm flow software, putting that out there, it was just kind of an extra, pet project that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I felt like it was finally at that point where it was ready to go. So that's why we started doing that. So it's just one extra thing on top of everything else.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's always good to remember where you came from for sure, because it tells a story as where you were and where you are.
For sure. Yes, definitely. All right. That is, thanks for tuning in. That is the Thumbcast for tonight, guys. We thank you for tuning in. And remember, your brand story isn't just fluff. It is your backbone of your business. So take time to craft it well. Until the next time, keep those greens growing.